tall. Oh, no, thank you, thank you. We are here because of one thing, right? Music. I just want to share with you a little story. My brother came to pick me up, Apama. He says, I said, how is it? How is it? Are people there at the Legends? Are they waiting? He says, hey, yeah, but it's raining. Maybe they might not be there, and so on. And I'm like, it's not raining today. Maybe it's one of the days that's raining because it's raining out there. It's raining out there. I would like to share with you how moving from the mines, where I worked in the mines, I had to go to Johannesburg. And when I got there, looking for a job, sometimes people try to move and just walk because they think one day they will meet destiny where they find themselves at a happy place where they were destined to go. But I realized very early that I should not look on the sides because destiny is always walking and working with you. Okay? So you are dealing with an art form that does not depend on the fact that you just heard somebody talking about it there in the streets and you turned and you just followed there. It goes with the whole being. If you want to play that song and you are burning to learn and play the instrument to the effect that you are able to play that song on your own and you can see, and you can pass that message, it's you have found a way to communicate. So where I came from, I realized I could not, it was difficult to go to school, very difficult. After I passed matric, I could not go. I wanted to go to the university, but in any case, I ended up working in Delgrau gold mine. It's a gold mine. And when I was there, as I said, mark my words when I say destiny is working with you. We were living in different compounds. In the mines, you live in the compounds, hostels, and it's separated. I'm talking to you as somebody who's been on the other side of the pre-94 and the post. So when I got to the mines, the block that I stayed in a block A. I stayed in a block, a Zulu-speaking block. And so because the Bapedi and the Mavenda are the minority in migrant work in the mines. So if you are Mopedi or Mavenda, you go to that you get thrown into any block. So I would stay there this year. The next year, I'm thrown into a Swazi block, and so I became a child of the whole nation. So your journey and your culture, as you walk in life, is also forming part of how you are going to express yourself in future if you're going to be an expressive artist. So I met this wonderful man by the name of Hansen Mdimis. He came from Eastern Cape, and he was playing an accordion. Mntanam, ufuna udlala? And he would come to my block playing an accordion. The call for music called me, and I did not follow it until one day he said to me, will you accompany me to town? And I went to town with him. When I got there, he said, you sit there and just listen. Don't worry. Then I said, what is this place? He said, this place was Amda. I don't know, Bralex, you remember Amda? It was there next to the Johannesburg Library, which is African Music and Drama Association. Ubut Hansen Dimitibe suka mining in the morning, sisebenze night shift. I at Johannesburg, going on a bus that travels for 2 hours, writing music. And I went back to the mine with him, and I forgot about it. Because I don't know what I want. What happened is that there was a strike when the National Union of Mine Workers made their first strike, the heaviest strike in 1987. Also, I'm old. 1987, and then that's when I woke up from being overcome by the tear gas fumes and whatever, because they brought the 21 Battalion from Potchefstroom to disperse us and all that stuff. So I come from that generation. What happened is on that day when I woke up, I said, no, I'm not, I don't think I'm at the right place. And that's when I went to Johannesburg preparing myself to leave, that when I leave here, because I don't want to be here anymore, let me go and buy some clothes for my younger brothers. And when I go to Johannesburg, if you remember, there were blue buses that were coming from Carltonville. They were stopping down there, downtown. So I got off there, but because I didn't know the city, I walked down towards that street. What is it called now? They changed the name. Pim Street. And Pim Street is where the Market Theatre is. And that's when I turned on the corner. There was a door. When I got into this door, because I saw a painting, it was written Fuba Gallery downstairs. I didn't know that when I got in there, actually I walked into a music school. So the art and the artistic, the creative you is always walking with you. It's just waiting for you to perfect your fluent voice. And, your voice to the point that it's so fluent that people can hear, this is you, this is Selaelo talking, this is Wanda talking, this is so-and-so, this is Papama talking, And so, ultimately, I did go to school. After a while, I got invited to study at University of Cape Town. And when I got there, I also found, I was arriving at the time that I had the ability to express myself already more than a lot of other students. And but I was already on the path of speaking my own language. I found amazing lessons, and I got to learn, but I don't know how my this inclination has always been, because when I got to university, if I'm not mistaken, the history book that they were reading that was prescribed is one of the books I read in Johannesburg, at the Johannesburg Library. I was always going to music library before I went to university. So when I got there, I find material that I've read already. Maybe it's a third edition and so on. So for me, it was a matter of, I'm here, I'm at the right place, let me take a break. We are coming out of 1993, this is 1994. I'm doing my first year at 28 years. And I'm going to be a good student. And I became a good student. I became the top student in my first year group with a number of awards and Dean's Merit List and all that stuff. As we say, it's history. Then I settled nicely in a great institution. And because of that point, I was already carrying the experience with me. Immediately when I arrived at university, I started showing that I am from a creative self. I was expressing myself with the music I'm writing. I was writing for other musicians. I was arranging and picking up players. I had a first band with Ringo Nzuzo and the band. Please, if you listen very well, you'll hear that I'm linking you with the business as well. Now I'm beginning to link you with the business. The band that I formed with Ringo Nzuzo at UCT was called La Lumba. So La Lumba, very few people know that I had a girlfriend by the name of La Lumba. And so actually the girlfriend's name is Lalo, L-A-L-O, short for Muraru, which is a vendor name. And but because of that, they would give you those names. They said Lalo. They took the last 4 letters, So because of being creative, I said, here's a girl who's talented. Let's put her in front of the band and let's play good music. And let's call the band La Lumba. I was trying to set her up, you understand, from the very beginning. And I wrote beautiful songs, but because we were performing those songs in the college at university, Professor Mike Campbell became aware of them. And because he can hear the natural flowing that we were doing them, he started arranging songs, the same songs, for Judith to sing in the big band, the UCT big band. So she started singing the Makongo arrangement that is at the UCT library. I introduced it there when I arranged it for Judith to sing that song in my band, and it got there. And, those are the things that I was involved in from the just pursuing knowledge, sharing, creating bands, and so on and so on. Creating bands with some of the musicians today who themselves have got bands and so on, from Vidima to Dr. Silogalane. He was percussionist in my band. I introduced him in my band. So when I say I arranged songs for Judith, at the same time, I was not aware that I've begun to write. I measured in composition and arrangement, but because I was bringing this, wanted to try my own things and bringing them in, and the university became aware of them. They arranged them. Some people know that, for instance, this song, Sishiru, my own composition. There is also a big band arrangement of that, which is performed by the University of Cape Town. The score is in the library and so on. I think they've got a 10-piece arrangement of A Cry, a Smile, and a Dance. That is another song, just to give you an example. And finally, to the business, just tweaking it to the business side. If you check today, Judith, if she's coming to perform in Eastern Cape, you will see, even her albums, you see the icon, and it's La Lumba. So her company today is La Lumba. By the way, she does not remember that I'm the one who introduced La Lumba when she was singing. No, she doesn't remember that. It's funny, but today is her company. Yeah? If you book her through La Lumba Records, La Lumba. Okay. So, but more than anything is the journey that we travel with music. Any music that you hear, like in the beginning, I tried to play, is it Lakushonilang? Yeah, Nchilo Nchilo. Yeah, Nchilo Nchilo. And Lakushonilang is on. there are a number of faces of Selaelo Selota. So many people know the other face. I don't think this other face that I'm getting in, people know where I'm just playing in a jazz idiom and jazz guitar understanding of how I hear harmony, how I hear interpretation of melodies. And then there's another slide who's very simple. Our music is very simple. And we just make it difficult. It's very simple. Serious. Our music is simple but difficult. Like, the thing is that I agree it does not go according to us, the way we want to make it. It wants to go according to itself. And right now we want to put it straight. It's wrong. But our music is based on, I can tell you that the journey that I've been traveling back to myself has been long. I came up with this song. So I'm just taking you through the life as you meet it as a musician, and you express yourself. You find yourself in a jazz band. You find yourself in a reggae band. And then you are from South Africa, and they're like, but what does South African music sound like? So it's going to take a long time. But at the same time, you are enriched by everything that is around you. And so with me, I come from a background of a very simple music. And some of the melodies that I find are linking with the South African regions, KZN, Eastern Cape, Northeastern Transvaal, and so on, And I found it easy to even write my own songs, but referencing on Xhosa harmonic movement. But people did not know that's how I'm hearing music. As I told you, from the very way back from the mine, the first guy who was playing accordion was from Eastern Cape. And through that, he took me to a lot of mshongolos in the mine. Pondo Nyandeni, Mapumulo, and whatever. I'll see all these different rhythms and so on. I was very rich. And so, even that journey, now and then, it meets your own, where I write a song myself, but you find that when I write it, the guy says, this song does not feel like you are from Limpopo. Professor Jeff Mapai, who's in charge of the program at University of Venda, I'm writing this song. How does that song go? This guy comes in the studio while we're doing the demo. He says, it's like almost angry with me. He's like, what is this song going to be like? It's going to be in Nguni, ne? So I said, no, it's not going to be in Nguni. It's going to be in Sepedi. He says, no, it doesn't sound like that. The harmony movement, the way you take it, it does not sound like, it sounds Nguni. Right? So I go and say, Fela le rumula na le sepile man, la le 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 la ne. You know, like, so I write it so easy. Le fela le rumulana le tshepilema. This song is still one of the most streamed songs in that album, like recently. So I might be thinking, you see that. Sometimes you hear something like that. Right? Others play it like this. But actually it might be. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, yeah, 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 whoa, 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 but I can turn and say, of this movement, what do I learn from here? Or like, listen to Bella Pa Mambondo. Bella Pa Mambondo. Hayazile. Yeah, then, right? And then I go. I say, oh, Mamu Deri, aye, Mama, ye. Hariwe Yasatlana, aye, Mama. Wapumula miyoko, aye, Mama. Oguta luka, aye, Mama. Waputa chale, Arisa maye, yeah, 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 Riega ye, Hebao ye meti, oh silimo limariga, Ipula ekana, Boshago. So I play around with Xhosa movement, but actually I might be writing a song in Sepedi. So, but if I say, ah, na, na, do, 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 ah, yeah, mama, yeah, right? Which is more like in Sepedi, the scale mood more like, ah, no, 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 with this in Xhosa as well. And then I extended the I can go in and get into the blues. You see what is going on? Right? You now are taking what is you. What I'm introducing you to Selaelo Selota that many people don't understand. I'm a pure South African musician. Like everything is me. If I go to KZN and I'm in that area and I started, yeah. You know, I start. You see what I'm saying, what I'm doing? I'm taking everything from the jazz place where I learned it was technical and how the scales go and whatever, but now I mishmash. Why? Because if you listen to, in my car, I keep a stack of records. I've got the Gallo series of Mam Dorothy Masuka from the recording when she was from 17, like 50s to late 60s. When she was 17, those songs she was saying, so I've got those recordings. Inside them, when you listen to them, you find the South Africanness in music. Many people didn't think that there was the South Africanness, and you find it in old recordings. Don't listen to the new recordings of the late Miriam Makeba or Letambul. No, listen to the old ones. You will find that all of them phrased the same. There are nuances. Okay? There are nuances. The song I was playing, and I was producing this song, the song that Judith is singing. When I do the so there's a section where she's saying, like I'm telling her, please say, like she's like, no, I can't do that. But I say, do it. And she was not aware that I was deliberately planting the South African nuances in her that I hear are missing in today's young girls when they sing. They don't take, for a voice to survive, it needs to replant itself again. If I'm in the middle of my performance, I'm not able to say, and think about Philip Tabani with what I'm doing already. She, yeah. I take from your Philip Tabani, right? He would go into this, and he's sitting on a blues scale. But the way he would delay things and delay a melody, you won't even understand that. You'll think, no. And then he will reason and say, we have to reason it in a way. Ndate Philip, he did not believe that there was anybody who could play guitar like his brother. And we've never heard his brother, And they're like, but Wes Montgomery is like, no. When I heard that guy, I said, this guy can't play guitar like my brother. So I was always curious, like, what did he mean? Maybe Philip meant that the way his brother was playing it, he made it personal. He was hearing him. He was able to hear his brother. One of the things that makes a lot of musicians, not just young musicians or whatever, the first thing that we do is we struggle in finding our own voice. It's very important to find your voice very early. Because to travel your 360, to get to your 360, is take a long time. I can tell you, I was discovering, because I've been interested in these things and I thought I was getting enough, I have enough of me. It took me up until this year to realize with my latest album that I've arrived where actually I sing naturally when I sing within this. And now it gave reason to a song like Terpa. Terpa I just cleared it for the first time in its 23 years as a recording. On the 17th, if you can Google this young girl, Desiree S.A., it got released in Europe for the first time in 23 years as a remix. And if you listen to the remix, it's still very much Terpa, the way you hear my voice, same key and everything. It's just slowed down a little bit and put their own good. Nothing changed, but it's being discovered again. And only when I did my latest album, I realized when I said, so here is. By the way, I came with this song when I was doing my composition major at University of Cape Town. That's why I performed it first. It was part of my work as a composing. Ooh. So if you check here, Munyako wati miti uzenwa kashele Munyako wati miti uzenwa kashele I go into my latest song. Hallelimpona kilima kisafeji Kifedi tedi khwedi le mengwaga kisa khutši Tshilo le lwala ke gale le letile Batsebisheng gae le babotse ke fihlile Hele mponeng nawe mponeng You see where I arrived now. So my voice, in terms of the scale where I come from, is like Munyako wati miti uzenwa kasheleng yeah ho Halelimpona kilima kisafeche. But you see how it's changing into a different color. And that is actually what helped me, is the arrangement part of my studies, So, yeah. Any related question, be business, approach, any. What kind of workshop do you want? This one is more life. It's more life and how I get there and how I use the same to get there. Yes, ma'am. The guitar.
Thank you. Molweni, everyone again. My question will be for you, Tato Selota.
Yes.
With your musical influences regarding your stylistic traits of the guitar,
Yes.
what have been the most prominent? Because you mentioned aspects of indigenous music and
Yes,
also
yes.
Otato Philip Tabane,
Yes.
Ellen Kwela, and what have been the most prominent features of influences across?
Yeah, there are plenty. Let me share with you. I can't wait. Yeah. I'm doing MBM. It's what? Music Business Masters, master class at ASE right now. And that's where I lectured in 2012, 2013. But I went back there because I saw this opportunity. I'm doing, this is where you learn a lot of things. For influences, let me just take you. can I start with? Yeah, I was telling you at the school where I went, they played a song because we are studying that it was infringed. They play a song, and I listened to this song. It's a Led Zeppelin song. You know, that was one of my favorite songs. My first bands that I loved was Dire Straits with Mark Knopfler. That is what I got exposed to. I had one of those Walkmans that I always had here. I was listening to Led Zeppelin and Dire Straits, one this way, that way. And such that I said, yeah, I want to be a rock guitarist. And I started going to Tom's Music, buying those rock tracks. This is how you bend the string. And then I sit in my room. You know, so, but I was not aware, actually, it's not something that I should cast away. It's going to be part of my journey and part of my expression. So, Led Zeppelin, I mean, it's too far away. Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits, okay? And so those are the people that I was listening to until I had a teacher from Cape Town, Llewellyn Landau. He said, hey, Tim, they call me Timmy, listen here. He dropped me a tape. And when I listened to that tape, there was this guitar that I was hearing. It sounded wrong, unpolished, and very retro. He was playing me a male special of Benny Goodman. So Charlie Christian, the founder of jazz guitar, you know, is the one in there. And when they give him a solo, he's killing it. But within that space, while he's forcing me, he says, no, learn this, Llewellyn, Mr. Llewellyn, learn this, it will be great for you. I stumbled on another cassette. You know, they used to go at OK Bazaars. They would put a big box there, old cassettes, they put them in there. And you can go and sift 3 rand. And then I found an album of George Benson where he's playing the tunes like There'll Never Be Another You. You know, and I bought that. I had 2 people. Something makes them similar, but the other one is too very advanced and very sweet. That was George Benson, you know. And now that time I was working at Kippies as a cleaner. Now I'm beginning to hear the guitars, you know. And one day on Sunday, I was waking from a sleep. I hear this guitar. The most lyrical guitar ever, and it was a song called 3 Times a Lady. And they said the guitarist, and they said Grant Green. I went to go search for Grant Green records, and I bought them. Even yesterday, I was listening to Grant Green. And then just after I got introduced to this Grant Green, people came and they brought, there was a visitor from Art Magnet High School. And he was a teacher for the late Roy Hargrove. Yeah, he came there and he brought some Jamie Ebersole books with cassettes, with CDs that, you know, background jazz and what. So through that, I was told about Clifford Brown. Clifford Brown, a trumpeter, very special. And I was not very much into Clifford Brown. I thought Miles Davis, Louis Armstrong, and so on and so on. And, you know, there was this concert that happened at Kippies. Bruce Cassidy and Bani Rachawan. And they called it Conversations. And Bruce Cassidy, Bani Rachawan. All those things I've been hearing on the George Benson and the whatever started coming out of the horns. And then Bruce decided he's going to do one workshop at Vets Corner there. And I went to that workshop. Like here, I went to that workshop. And then Bruce Cassidy played Clifford Brown. Like, and then he explained and said, Clifford Brown played his trumpet like a painter. You know, like a cameraman when he's holding his lens and he can measure the light and he comes with that shot. He painted Clifford Brown as a painter, so I got very fascinated by the lyricism. And then I wanted to be lyrical with my guitar. So, because then I started reading a lot of who influenced who, why, and whatever. And then I learned that George Benson said the first time he wanted to be, he recorded at age 11, right? So I read their history. History of people will tell you where they come from, what influenced them as well. And then he said, the jazz and the swing he got from Charlie Christian. The fire he got from Hank Gallant. Hank Gallant was a white country guitarist, country. And the lyricism, he said he got from Grant Green. So I found that, okay, Grant Green, George Benson, okay, these people are getting together. Then I hear this George Benson telling his stories. Hank Gallant is Charlie Christian, and then he says lyricism he got from Grant Green. And he said the harmony he got from Wes Montgomery. Now I could understand. You can see now the style of George Benson as you listen to it. What influenced him is these people. And he said in terms of the phrasing, what turned him around was listening to Just Friends by Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker playing Just Friends. And if you want that, you can go and find it on Charlie Parker's album. Then each artist finds their own way. Selaelo will say, if he's improvising in jazz, Selaelo will say, right? But it doesn't mean that Selaelo is not aware that Miles Davis says, you hear that? Miles Davis says, so if he's playing, when he plays a 2/5 in a jazz, but doesn't mean Selaelo can't say. Right? Just extend the same thing, or I can't say. Right? So what I'm displaying that Selaelo Selota, then who got to learn that Clifford Brown says. I'm just adding on that. Clifford Brown would say, okay, influences you get from you put it together, and then you find that I'm cool, I'm home, and you'll find that these people are close to one another. They are very close to one another. If I said in my demonstration it means in terms of that if you hear saxophones, somebody's holding a saxophone, you will even see him trying to do it. So even me as a guitarist, I started looking at them. Hey, this person is, you know, that I wanted to do that. Because I learned from that first time, as I said, I met Alan Kwela, Johnny Foree, and whatever. They were playing at Kippies at some point, and I asked Johnny Foree. He played a chord, this chord. Yeah. But the fingers looked so weird. And after that, I went to him, I said, sorry, mister, I saw you playing something like this. I couldn't play it that time because when I put my fingers down, they were just muffled. So he said to me, oh, that one. No, don't worry. It will take you like 5 years. I said, 5 years? I got such a fright, and because it means I won't make it. I come from the mines, I'm 22 years old, and this man says this thing is going to take me 5 years. And then like, I've heard George Benson and them, they are doing things there. Five years, just this. So, so I was sleeping at the National Arts Council. I saw they're actually one of the supporters of the arts, big time. At the National Arts Council, that is where Fuba School of Music was. Now, underneath there, Butresi would know these things. He lived in Joburg. When they say Selaelo Selota used to sleep under the bridges, behind Fuba, there was a small gate. And if you sleep under that gate and go at the back, you would find a boiler room where they used to make fire to heat the water here. And that's where I used to sleep in there, you know. So the thing is that survival skill was always there. And you have to make do. You have to influences and all these things are a lot of things. There are a lot of things. I find myself using a lot of things. Trumpet, guitar, the West Montgomery things, all those people they mentioned, I started molding myself, but I cannot even forget the other one of the biggest influence, Charlie Parker. I learned a lot from Charlie Parker, because Charlie Parker was one of the masters of defining harmony. And some of the phrases that I do on guitar. Charlie Parker will say, right. All right. Sure. So let's, any other questions? Sorry. Yes. A lot of times that I manage to work with someone like that I'm searching, because I always search. I have right now, I have about 3 people that I work with. I would bring 3 people, but when I bring them in my band, for instance, is to mentor them while they find their voice. I've got a young lady by the name of Surprise Malanga, a young man by the name of Chiro Rahwale, and another one, Dwayne. So what I do, sometimes I give them songs of people they know, and they have to sing that song, but I would then slow the song down and say, sing the song again yourself, but sing it, you start phrasing it. Because what you do, you learn a song, and then you want to sound it, like that. That is, one of those is something that I deal with a lot. And so I would work with them. I would work with them. And choose a song like this. Let's say I have everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone Nothing will change. No one stays the same. The young becomes the old. Mysteries do unfold. Oh, never much too soon. Everything must change. You see, I've never sung this song, but ultimately, I'm making it more funny, beginning to, there are not many things in life we can be, you can be sure of. Except rain comes from the clouds, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sunlight of the sky and the hummingbirds to fly. Woo, 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 woo. Sadube, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, 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 So you see now, I took the whole thing and really now personalized it now. Like I'm just going with it, following the music, so to find your style, try to get to the point whereby you are no more phrasing like the people you heard. And at the same time, try to feel where your voice is more comfortable if you are a singer. Where you know that it will allow you to either go high, go down, but don't forget that simple voice, that is where you come from. That is one of the most simplest forms. Every one of us come from a place whereby there are certain voices, certain nuances, and we bring them into our singing. Your voice starts defining itself there. And then another thing that starts coloring your voice, in terms of your identity, is the imagination. Imagining, if I go back there, and you can see, it's almost, we will start saying, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You understand? But I still go and say, what I do, I imagine, right? Now I lived with my grandmother, okay? She had her own style. You see how they dress at home. You see, with that, some of the dresses are long, and some of the things are longer than the others that are hanging, you know. And then I started, okay, how would my grandmother be moving to this song? You understand? And then I started imagining, And I transform into this Selaelo that people have never seen this guy. Like, can't you know? I'm now beginning to now bring. I see my grandmother at her grace start going, and then I start mixing with the melodies that now are flowing. Some of them are jazzy, some of them are Eastern Cape, some of them are. It becomes the most beautiful thing. Jesus Christ. You see, I can tell you, you are not alone, and don't be hard on yourself. I'm saying to you, it took me all that time. Only now, I'm saying to people, I think I found my 360. Only now, in February, when I released my latest album, when I listen to it, I say, now I think I've arrived. You know, when you have arrived at your 360, the musical journey, the musical own voice expression that you're looking for is these roads that you're traveling. You're traveling this way and you don't know where you're going. But when you suddenly realize that where you are, no, that's born, let's start and that's born, man. I know this place. And you move in, and then you start realizing that you are actually beginning to move faster. You're becoming fluent in your own voice. That's when you have arrived at your 360. It takes a long time. Don't be hard on yourself. I'm only finding it now. Okay. I always knew that there's this voice. Sometimes I felt it is heard by other people more than myself. I'm not hearing it. But if I say it took, it's around 30 years. 30 years, yeah. I think I started feeling I'm going on this journey in 1994. And only this year, and then I opened, I tried to play music, and I'm like, no. But now I hear it before it, I'm beginning to hear me this way or that way. I find myself not stopped by anything. I was like, oh, okay, now the road is becoming clearer because now, as you learn through time, looking for that voice that you're looking for is actually made up of your own alphabet of music. And your own alphabet of music is how much you've gained the knowledge that you use to communicate. Omnye umuntu uzawuthetha isiXhosa esibuya le kuthiwa kuphi lana enjoli le so no, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. My wife is from Eastern Cape. Yes. No. The one thing that I have learned through life, you have to be consistent, man. With what you believe, consistency is very important. And when you are not consistent, be the one that tells yourself that I am not consistent. Be able to tell yourself and admit to yourself that you are not consistent. Many times, I find myself not being consistent. And when I say not being consistent, I mean not making noise for my wife because she didn't hear. She found herself singing this. She has 17 years we've been married. So now one day she's I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, so consistency. I realized through I said, why are you doing this? That's the only thing I hear all the time. You do. But it's one of the things that I do. I started, after I got dropped at the lodge, is what I actually took out my guitar and started doing. When Papa Ma came to fetch me, I was actually doing this. Because through that, I'm always, it's more like an athlete who's always doing. Yes, yes. It is something that you have to. So if I did not practice for 3 days, I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my heart. All the things that I want to do, I'm not able to do them. If I say, so if I hear a saxophone, I'm like, hey, what did he just say? And I want to. I must be able to do that. I heard that. Joe, did you hear that? You know, and then I play that. I stop and say, you must feel good about it. You feel good, you feel good. So when you get to the 360 that I'm talking about, another person asked me during the workshop for the Joy of Jazz, Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. He says, I was not aware that he's now heading another school in Soweto. He said, yeah, he raised the hand. He said, hey, my name is so-and-so. Hey, by the way, I was not aware the room is full of the kids from that college. Mr. Selota is the one who taught us how to intertwine the jazz language and the jazz technical approaches with his own. How do you do that? And so it used to be a trouble of how do you merge a next, right? How do you match a pentatonic scale and all these other things by jazzy, how do you mix this? How do you mix this thing? So I then learned, or no, if about by jazz, these people, these jazz people, they like people. Jazz people are very special. We are snobs. I'm telling you, like, hey, I play real jazz. And I'm telling you the other fun. I'm telling you the other funny part of what I've experienced. I've been with musicians like, yeah, man, I play jazz, man. I don't play that stuff, you know. Like, no, man, bring me real music now. I've been living in that space, you know, and then I would learn the jazz. People say, you know, super Locrian scale, and they talk these names, you know. Hey, man, Litsu says, you're just scaring young people who want to learn good music. Super Locrian. Wow. Could they even come with terminologies? Super Locrian. Diminished whole tone. Hey! Diminished whole tone. Banna. Here note, you know, here are the notes. A minor. Get the note. Diminished whole tone here, one about. Okay. Burial. And the only way I see them playing over that when they play jazz, they say, that's what they do. How about if I... So it's not different with the, it's not different to, it's not different to, it's not different, right? So that very simple, now I have, so blues, pentatonic, whole tone and whatever, it does not matter, because if whole tone here, a superloquian diminished whole tone is that, and I'm playing C in the C major. Why do they differ? They don't differ. You can hear that. Right? So mix, bring all of them together. Even though, as I say, the 360 in 30 years, no matter, serious, it takes long to realize, oh, okay, no, I can just dance and be myself, and nobody, they can say anything, but the picture I'm painting a very clear picture of myself. This is what I see, these are the colors I'm seeing, I'm splashing them like this, and I'm mixing, and they can hear that you understand what you're doing. The beautiful part is, when you arrive where you don't seem like you are searching, oh, let me use this crash, hey, let me just repeat that phrase I had from Donna Summer and whatever. The minute you start being willfully missing the step and catching the next step, because you miss the first one, then you go, so you improvise, and people are like, so it has that tension and release, it becomes such a beautiful thing. You realize that your voice, you are able to solve your own nuances and so on. It becomes the colors that you paint. Oh, okay. Just maybe one last or two last. Yes, sir.
When it comes to Mel.
Yes, sir.
How does one then, what's the secret in terms of having to separate yourself from fulfilling yourself when composing, and then having to also cater for the audience?
I never dared that question. You know, I think for me, I tried, maybe a couple of times or maybe a few times, I tried to imagine what the people or the audience or the public would feel good at, you know. I imagined it very few times, and it troubled me, and because I come from a very critical era. Woodred, I come from a very critical era of music. So I got to the point whereby when you do something that you feel it settles with you, I think the pleasing of the public will come from them seeing that when you execute it and display it, you're doing it with such joy, such pleasure, such that they can see the healing coming through you. And most of the time, that is when I get my confirmation of I created something that I wanted people to react in a lovely way, like the way they do. So I get to know it when it happens. But I was saved by the fact that if I'm going to create some work, let me create work that when I stand in front of people, I'm so confident of doing it and feeling full in my shoes, like I'm sitting in my shoes when I present it to them, such that it will be unquestionable. And that helped me a lot because it emphasized and maintained me within the color and the nuance that I want to communicate myself as an artist. I don't know if you let me give you an example. For instance, one of the songs, if I give an example again with Judith, you will forgive me, is because of some of the very profound, like, I loved a song that said, there will never be another you. I played this song so many times during my studying times. And then while I was still at that, I also then realized I'm loving another song, which was in F, doing the same thing. Charlie Parker's confirmation. If you movement, and then when I came out with my album, so that. Then later, I was not aware it was just going to be easy. If I'm going to say. And use the same chords and say, I just changed the rhythm. I say, okay. That's how I wrote A Cry, Smile, and a Dance. I used to love There Will Never Be Another You, and I also Confirmation and Blues for Alice. Right. So that movement, because I was so much used to it, is the one that helped me. So out of your experiences and out of the things that you perform, some of your songs are going to come from there. Songs come from each other. There are only 7 notes in a scale. The eighth one is, yeah, there are only 7. How far can the things be different? Like, hello, there are so many songs that starts each other. Okay.
I can go along with that.
Eh? Yes.
It's when you enjoy it. It's when you enjoy it. And that's very important. Now, because music is like jazz, I'm a jazz saxophonist. When I play jazz, I'm speaking because it's a language.
Yes, yes.
So now the listener must be saying, what's he saying?
Also, music. Where's the band? Where's the band? Where's the band? Please. Where's the keyboardist? Bring it, Dad. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
A round of applause for Selaelo. Thank you so much, Selaelo, for an in-depth narrative of the South African jazz traditions and narratives, which are so important as we get to discover our music and our language and our works. It's also important, one thing that you mentioned, that it carries a whole narratives of it, the transatlantic movement, pre-colonial, post-colonial, newer traditions, new school music, and also indigenous music through our voices and language. Our next segment is I'm going to invite Ms. Fuyo Giba to present her works that you can see on stage. We'll call her first, and then Okulandelayo will be followed by a panel, Bra Retsipule and Reverend Pasha. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm not Vuyo Giba, but she's coming. Good morning, everyone. I was not invited onto the stage, so I won't stay too long. Igama lami nguPhaphama. I'm from something called Umtiza Arts Festival. You guys might know it. I just want, this brown box here is not a bomb. I think also Selaelo wanted a band on stage, so he will have a band on stage at 6:30 p.m. at the Guild Theatre. And then I think Uzuko, when the time is right, he might talk about a jam session that I think might be happening as well. So if there's a more band that you want after the big band, there will be a jam session that Uzuko are organizing at I think, Zaza Beach Club tonight after the big band. So we have more time for band. But I'm not here for any other reason but to say that because this is called Legends, and the coincidence was that there are legends in the room. Selaelo was here, Praretsi is here, Rev Pasha is here, Pralex is here, Anthony, and as Anthony Noba, so, Anthony is here. Udumza legend light. Udumza legend giver and does, So because we're at Legends and it's Legends and it's Legends' 11th birthday today. So the coincidence is that the Legends are here while Legends is celebrating 11th. So what I did was I bought us a birthday cake for Legends, so that maybe the right thing to do is to let Giba do her presentation, and then I'm hoping that the Legends will cut the Legends cake on behalf of Legends, so that all of us can get a piece for coming out here today. So at least you got something today. You went to a workshop for free, and you got a cake in return. Yeah. And I think when we cut the cake with the Legends, I think this young man here is going to also help them, because I think he's the future generation of the Legends as well. So yeah, so happy birthday to Legends. I just thought we wouldn't miss this moment where we... So Gary, I think come receive your cake on behalf of Legends. And then I think when we are done with Giba's segment of the workshop, we can call all the Legends onto the stage to really cut the Legends cake. So yeah, that's... Oh, wow. Yeah, cool, man. All right. Happy birthday, Legends. Over to you, Sispogino Skiba. And
good morning, everyone. No, actually, good afternoon. Molweni ke igama lam ndinguVuyo, and then ifanyam is Giba. And to those that know me in the jazz spectrum, I'm known as the Gib. Okay, so what I do, this is my artworks. Ndingulamfoti ke kuthiwa ngu-jazz photographer. Primarily, that's what I do. For those that were here on Thursday, I did mention that we're doing, these artworks are called Ukunyangwa Kwetyala, and there's a reason for that. So I'm happy that we won't need to translate much more of Ukunyangwa Kwetyala. I'm sure everyone can relate to it, but there's a story behind Ukunyangwa Kwetyala. So, of course, ininzi into endiyibhalileyo apha, but ideally, ndingumntu waseBhayi ngokokuhlala. In East London, I've found a home. I'm a visitor, kodwa ndihlala ndilapha for some reason. And it's all because of the music. So ndingulamntu kuthiwa yi-purist in the music. South African jazz, to be precise. So I do not know much about American jazz, but I think I've wasted the past 12 years trying to find out what it means to be a South African, and in the music as well, particularly as a visualist. So sibabini ke abangosisi apha kulento siyenzayo singabagcini bamaxesha. My fellow mate uLerato Phakade, if she was in the Eastern Cape, she'd probably be sitting right next to me because we speak the same language. So without further delay, as artworks are part of Ukunyangwa Kwetyala. Ukunyangwa Kwetyala was actually to bridge the gap between young musicians and older musicians, and also to the audience as much. And there's a reason for that. So you'll find that these are mixed mediums in these artworks. Some of them are theater plays. Some of them require to Umama Dosini, and you'd see the legend wall right next to me, being Dr. Tete Mbambisa Reverend Patrick Pasha, Bralex Fuchane, and Prafea Fakuze. And then everything else is either a younger musician or anything that I've collected in the music itself. So I've presented the work so much that I've never actually presented why I did it and how come I did it. I thought I was going to be a musician, but that's just it, you know. So, one, I'm just gonna touch quickly on how I let into my world, but everyone that you see on the stage is somebody that has played an important part in the story that I'm trying to tell, and they've never actually known the reason I have those either painful. You look at these images, you found soul in it, you find, what you like the most, as quiet as they are because they're black and white. So we're going to touch again as to why they're black and white, as opposed to, the beautiful garments that we see on stage. So everyone that's on this showcase is somebody that has played a very important role in my life and also as an archiver. So not only do I photograph South African jazz music, I write about it. I always have an opinion about it. Of course, sometimes my opinions are not okay to other people, but ndilapha to sort of explain why I have these strong ideas about kutheni ignorant. One, to the fact that this music is not our music, but there's somebody that gave us the music before we sang the music in this day and age. So now we're getting into that world, and that's the explanation of it all. Like I said, we have the legends here. So I left Johannesburg in 2018, where I was a resident photographer at Nikki's and the Orbit. You'd find any stage that you would find a world-claimed musician, you'd find me sitting there. So when I had to move from Gauteng this Epai, I took for granted that I will find jazz music. I'm talking about pure jazz music. And that wasn't the case. So you'd find kukho taverns. Now people have taken the music to the taverns, and we think that's acceptable. But it is not, because umntanona 5 akazokwazi uzomamela, umntana uyayithanda instrument. As a result, I'm sitting here and thinking that I was so unfortunate to have actually learned of jazz music and say corporate, trying to find sense of my entire life. So bakhona abantwana that we're closing off because we think into your music, into your zipsuku, it has to be done at a tavern, but where is our buy-in from the community? Because then if that's not the case again, abantwana funeka be university, but what about, kuthiwa umculo somncane beleni. So I might not have the money to go to university, but ndiyayazi ukuba xa kukhala unkilo okanye xa kukhala kula kutshona ilanga okanye uBra Winston Mankungu uthi ntudum boom boom. So you understand, but that's in your soul. You can actually play this thing in your brain before you use it on the instrument. So siyathanda thina ukhupha mhlambi abantwana esithi mabaye university. But also where is our buy-in as a community to say we can actually develop these people to doing. So sizokwenza lonto ke namhlanje. So the artworks that you see here, like I said, each of these artworks were actually done. There are people from Port Elizabeth, because I thought ukuya kwami by I'll find the music, but that wasn't the case. I had to chase each person that you see here. So Dr. Mbambisa was in Cape Town. I needed to find the link between Queenstown, East London, and Port Elizabeth. And he's from the Mecca City. And that was called a Little Jazz Town. I think the nickname is Little Jazz Town. So it's so rich in the sense that everyone that's actually played like an important role in South African jazz music, they were found in Ekomani. Okanye Ekomani was the gateway between South African jazz music. And then next to him, you obviously have Reverend Patrick Pasha. So I love Oprah Pasha, and obviously I'd learned of his story, and I knew that part of my story needs to involve him. And one question that I wanted to ask him, why aren't you playing the music anymore? Again, we are closing off. We want to take these things to Indawezi elite. But we need to give the music to the community as opposed to looking at places that we need to go play the music. So Uprapet had a reason. And I had to invite Uprapet to say, I'll make you coffee if I need to. At the restaurant, we'll make all the noise if we have to. I just need to understand your story. And we got to the actual place. And now we ended up being like we had an audience. All we were trying to do is to find out why aren't you playing. And Brapet has a lot of stories to tell. He's played an important role in South African, like the songbook itself. I mean, Brapet is 91 now. 91. And I mean, he's played, I think, 7 decades now. You find the history of the soul jazz man, your Victor Ndlazulwanas. I mean, he discovered Johnny Mbizogyani at some point. So these are the people that we need to pay attention to. But what are we doing as the younger generation to sort of give them their flowers? So Upra Petige was one of the people. And then Ukitwa. We started this journey when I got into jazz photography. I don't know if it was fortunate or unfortunate for me. I was thrown in the deep end. I just got to Nikki's. I did not know who was who. But I think instinct again said, Ikamala say Eastern Cape ndizalilandela. I don't care what it means. I just go there. So I always looked at the posters, Boogie, and Bralex was actually, I think, the second gig I had watched at Nikki's and photographed. At the time, Bralex, you were playing with Klassen, the daughter of Tandi Klassen, and Brabegi and Babes Ndamase on drums. That was the first time I'd actually seen you. The second time I would see you was when I was going particularly to your gig to watch you and Yonela Mnana, Uspuwe Shiburi. You know, again, Bralex, we have to give it up for him, man. Ubralex is one of the guys that would actually take the younger kids under his wing. So I was always lucky because Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was always with Bralex. Sigodole, ndandimthengela nengubo at some point. Ndifuna uyincanca yonke the education. Do you understand? So Bralex, thank you so much for being a part of my story and always appreciative. And next to Bralex's image, it's a hand of Ufea Faku. So again, Brafea, I mean, if you look at the people that I have collected my entire existence, starts from the age of Oprah Feya, Oprah Lexi. If Zim was alive, I'd probably have archived Uzim. If Oprah Begim Selego was alive, I would have had the chance. But those are the people that, London City, I feel somewhat lucky that I discovered the photography and the music when I wanted to break away from the you know, corporate chains. And then I found peace. But I think if I had gotten in the music earlier, I could have had the time to photograph your Zims and your Begim Selikus and of course Upra Selaelo. I think I photographed him. He might not have an idea, but at Standard Bank, it must have been 2013, trying to take a break from, you know, he was there as Standard Bank, Jerv Jazz, whatever going on there. So from there to get, it's Kedrix at the corner there, and I'll explain why Kedrix is there and Joliza is there. But what's important, this image here is actually for Matosini requirement. It was for Umtiza last year. And I was unfortunate to not have been able to photograph Makulu Matosini ekubhadleni kwami. But she's the reason I became a photographer. So then, when they did Umtiza last year, they did Matosini Requiem, and for some reason I thought I was going to frame this artwork and it would be the most expensive, and somebody has bought it. So yes. And then we have Utan Samazwai, somewhere here. And then we have, oh, of course, Oprah Spencer. Oprah Spencer, I had to travel to Cape Town. So Oprah Spencer here was part of this story, which was a little jazz town, a story based in Ekomani. And then I have here, Utumsani Maswana, Tumza Maswana, and Sakile Simani. So Tumza is from Ingusho Ngokoksuka Kepov. Now he's based in PE, but Utumza Ngumhlali Walape East London for some reason, because he's worked so much with East London people. I think Mnana Masfuma Ningliwa Apa Emondi, and then Sikri Beka. Yeah, one. So yes, Usmani, I mean, so if you look at Usmani again, I met him, it must have been 6 years ago. He might not have an idea of our first encounter, but he's played a very important role. So these are the people, like I said, the people that we see here. are people that have found like family and home, and but again, I have a story to tell about them, and it's all visual and musically. And then we have Kurt Reeks on the other side, the trumpet player. So Uket is from PE, but what he's done, he actually he had a 30-piece band. I think in PE it was his celebration. You had everyone from East London. In fact, singabantu baseBhayi, singabantu baseMonti, abantu baseMonti ngabantu baseBhayi, in the sense of the music and what I've seen. So this exhibition actually was actually to sort of commemorate or to celebrate the broader context family of music within the Eastern Cape, particularly between East London and iBhayi, and all those that esizophinda sihambe nazo. So yeah, Oprah Spence, like I said, I mean, may his perfect peace, soul rest in perfect peace, yes. So guys, without further delay, I'm gonna call on to ipanel yam. We're going to discuss a lot of either comfortable or uncomfortable things. I'll have Oprah Rezi, I'll have Oprah Lex, and then I'll have Reverend Pasha sitting with me. The conversation is going to be directed at the differences and the link between the older musicians and the younger musicians, but particularly for me, is we need to like give these older guys their time to speak, and we need to listen. And we need to listen to exactly what they say, because the music does not start with us. It does not start with them. Little does it start with the people prior to them. So I'm talking about 10 generations of iBhayi. I mean, you look at Chris McGregor, you look at Nick Moyake. So we need to uplift one another in the sense of understanding exactly what happens in the broader context of music, Eastern Cape, before we take it worldly. And obviously, one thing I failed to mention was that everyone that's here is actually international acclaimed. So I'm going to call on my panel, then we can have those discussions. Izakikwa, Izapra Rezi, Reverend. So maybe these. We'll use all of them. Oh, okay, no, it's fine.
Thanks.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Is everyone okay? Right, Alex. Right. I'm asking if you're okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Are you okay?
Cool in the gang.
Thank you. Rev, are you okay? Yes. Okay. So I mean, sorry, Alex, for but now that you're here, we can have this conversation. Any conversation that we're going to have. nawe ke Brapet. But, so, I don't know, I mean, Brapet, I've already introduced them, so I don't want us to maybe, you know, spend time on them introducing themselves. And I think everyone that's here actually, unobune idea about who is here. But again, I've met Brarezi when he was playing with the Slow Foot Jazz Brothers, and at the time, Bob Joseph Chiembe was still alive, which was the original founding member of the Slow Foot Jazz Brothers. And then Upra Lex, like I had explained, I've always worked with him. And then Upra Pet, I've worked with him in the previous exhibition, which was called Ukunyangwa Gojala, right? So this is just going to be like a cross conversation between, you know, just them, and in them Nandi Funa is that we listen, and so we listen, all of us. And then while they speak, and obviously on the issues that we're going to touch on. What we're going to touch on really is what makes the music it is today, what makes music African, the values that they have followed, how come they still here today, you know, and where they think. Okay, so I'm sorry, Praritz kutwa sondela nje kancinci apha kaphambili nje kancinci. So really, I can't, but we're just going to have like a presentation of them speaking, and then we'll have like a cross. If there's any younger musician or a visual artist that would like to ask any questions, then we can just do that. So we're gonna start with Uprapet. I mean, Prapet, what I want you to sort of tell us now is where you come from with the music, and what have you done. Before we get any further, I mean, I just want you to be prepared. Just what have you done? Who are you? Who is prepared to those that we don't know? For if there's any 20-year-old here, you know, what have you done for the music? And kutheni sikuhlelise apha namhlanje?
Thank you. Thank you. Hello to all of you. Are there any people in this room? Thank you. Thank you. I'm Patrick, born 1933 in Udnik, Kariega. I don't know whether you are familiar with that little town. Yeah, it is about 20 kilometers from Port Elizabeth. I started getting involved in music as way back as when we formed the first band, 12-piece band in Udnik, in a very rural area, of course, in 1949. This was the first band we had started in that area. And of course, it developed because, as I said earlier on, it was a very rural area. Now, I would like to waste the time of the other speakers because I have some pictures I thought I would show you. And I don't want otherwise to take advantage of the other people. Maybe I'll be granted that opportunity to show you the pictures.
Oh, okay, no, definitely. You will be granted that chance, Praretsi, when the time is right. But yeah, so Pralex, I don't want to introduce you. I think everyone that's here knows who Pralex is. But what I want us to sort of look at and to touch at, Pralex, there's a notion that jazz is dead, right? Jazz is unmarketable. Jazz is all these things that is not going on. But also then, you look at the music that's made today. Obviously, we can reference it back because nowadays music is sampled, right? But what I want you to maybe, or what I want you to touch on the fact that now people are saying jazz is dead and marketable, okanye jazz yalalisa.
Hello. 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 Good afternoon, everyone. I'm still Lex Fuchane. I'm one of those people that prefers to play music and not talk about music. You get people that make music, play music. You get people that talk about music, give music names and describe and analyze all of those things. Nothing is wrong with all of that, okay? And, but firstly, before everything else, to me, jazz is African music, full stop. That's it. Jazz is African music. And jazz became, if we have to really go back, when some of our African brothers and sisters were displaced to various places all around the globe. And of course, they were not permitted to practice our culture. And then they got confronted with all these foreign instruments. And what came out of that is what we call jazz, you know. And for me, music is music. It's all music, you know. And then, of course, different people have got different marketing ploys to sort of justify as to why they have to do certain things the way they do them. But music basically is music, you know. And if you listen to all these so-called genres and that are being peddled right around the world, you will find there's one common denominator, you know. They all music and they all swing. If we can talk about that, you know, they all have that bounce. And where does that bounce come from? It comes from here. Like for instance, our folk music, Xhosa folk music, we never really emphasize the one, but we imply the one. Even when we dance, we don't dance, we dance. That's us. But that one is there. It's and you see. So if you listen to all this music, it all has that bounce in it. That it is dead, I'm not sure whether it's a dead or whether or whether it's but I know it's not the truth. Okay, yeah. But there is the notion that it is dead and it is this, it is that, it is that, it is that. Of course, if we're going to talk, I mean, from time immemorial, pop or popular music is always popular music. It's popular, hence it is called that, okay? And it doesn't mean that it doesn't have any connections to, hence I'm saying it's all African music, you know? And I mean, at this day and age now, I think jazz has transcended the confine that it is American music, it is African jazz, it is European jazz, it is what, to me, it's all world music with the advent of the global village scenario, you know. So when we talk about jazz, we're talking about all the elements that have been there, you know. I mean, I draw my inspiration a lot from my Xhosa folk kind of music, you know. I mean, I've got songs like Ngumakazi. Dakuyixela, dakuyixela lanto ho, ayungabi sandenzi njalo mhlobam. Dakyalata lanto ho, ayungabi sandenzi njalo mhlobam. You can throw in another spin there. Dakuyixela. It all has that bounce. I think I'm talking too much.
That was very insightful. But on that subject, on the repertoire of Africanism, I don't know if I can maybe have, before we get to Upra Mike and Upra Rezi, can I maybe like pose a question to Wena Kwalo? Because I mean, you are somewhat in the same forte in keeping the Africanism spirit. Okay.
Sorry. There's something very, very important that I forgot to say. This young man here, this young guy here, he gave me my first paying gig, prepared. So, before we get there, Uprapet, there was a time in PE when PE was under siege. People were killing each other like nobody's business. And it was termed as the UDF against Azapo kind of thing. There was nothing happening in PE. And then Uprapet, Uput Parks, Uputwela, in fact, Uprapet put up the band and he called it the Modern Jazz Group. And then in that group, it's all these people, Uprapet, Uput Parks, Uputwela, myself, Ufeya, Uput Joe. It was a very interesting band. And we played some beautiful music. Uprapet introduced us to a whole lot of serious American jazz music. Benny Golson and all of those guys. I remember, I can safely say we were the only people that were playing with Benny Golson at the time. Okay, and if anybody knows anything about jazz, they will know what it means to play Benny Golson. Okay, and so what I forgot to say is that I am here today greatly because of Uprapet, because of Upax Gongo, because of Abu Prareti. I remember Uprareti and Ndimkumbula, when I was still a young lady, Uprareti wayenye is superstar. Useyiyo nangoke phofu, yenye is superstar yazi. Uprareti ebetha ezinye izitandard ezinzima. You know, zimbini zintathu zindilingene, zimbini zintathu zindilingene, yo. Uprareti. Yeah. So I just wanted to acknowledge these pillars. These are the people that built. I'm talking about myself, but it was not just me. It was a whole generation of us. So I could safely say, Tina, we are kind of that bridge between the lighties and the younger lighties after us. Thank you.
Ngosi Kikwa kakhulu. Ngosi, call. Is that right? Shall we have that question? Oh, okay. So, well, look, I ngombuzo kakuhle, but it's just to speak on what Upra Lex aiteta ilendo yomombelo and of course given like ndiyaqavile mos ndiyakuthanda ukufunda ndiyakuthanda ukulandela nabantu, so I can actually ndithi ndiyakwazi in the sense yokuba there are two Victors that people confuse you with. Omnye ati no, this is Victor Ndoni, omnye athi, actually no, that is Victor Ndlazulwana. And I think it's sikhona istory endisaziyo uba you then thought, well, you knew that there was a Victor Ndoni, but ukuva kwakho uVictor Ndlazulwana, you were like, actually my voice is somewhere here. And then within the spectrum of African music and the repertoires that esizimameleyo singabantwana thina, in the sense, you have actually taken umombelo, wathatha nokucula kwakho, wathatha nevoice yakho, and then you combined that, like, your voice, of course, and wabe ucelelwa ke, in the sense of referencing to the music. And then what you did with that, you actually took it, and it, for me, I look at it as a partnership for sustainability, because you could have taken the music to the studio, but you have not only actually worked with a live band, and those became like pure jazz, you've actually also worked with strings and orchestra. So, I mean, I just want you to sort of tell us if there are any challenges. I don't like to use the word challenges, but what did it take you from your comfort zone of knowing what you could do, or was it like one challenging thing because you now know you needed to put like this one thing that Alex was talking about, the twist in the music, because now it can no longer go as Isinga Sagwandu. So I just want you to maybe take us through that in terms of the partnership for sustainability with the musicians and the repertoires and what made or what still makes your music so African.
Yeah, unzima for mna lo mbuzo lona. Because I'm still discovering a lot of things. I'm still learning a lot of things, and I still have a lot of questions than answers. And I will tell you that I don't really know what I'm doing. I learn as I move. That is why every day when I speak about my music, I always go back to my grandmother's hut, where I learned this music. And there was a time in my life, I think as a teenager, where I think I left Uronda, Kamakulu, and all her influences, and I listened more on radio. And I think so I think I got lost. Mhlambi, I mean, it was not a bad thing. And then later on, I mean, all these other influences, Mamela. I mean, there was a time I recorded an album that sounded like 85%, yeah, you sounded like Ringo. And then I came back, and I was excited about finding my own voice now after I did a show tribute to Victor Ndoni. And I was like, oh, okay, this is Doomsa. And I recorded album Molo, and then I found out later on, but actually, no man, it's a struggle to perform some of the songs. I mean, some of the songs I've never really, because it was such an excitement of ukufumana voice yam ngokucinga kwam. And then one day, uPramzi, the late Dola, wathi Doomsa, tifuna ke siphume sobabini. So that's where Gauteng to have that coffee. With the Pramzi Apemondi, and one Mamelisa album ka Tatu Victor Ndlazulwana. So I had these ideas in my head. This is how I want to sound like, but also there's this thing now everyone's saying, Victor Ndoni, I didn't want to forsake that because I mean it doesn't feel good, but I think as Ixesha lihamba I was like, look, man, I need to. When I listened to Upravik, Okanye Tatu Ndlazulwana for the first time, I think I lost it. I think I listened to that music for weeks. And then, but what I realized then after listening to Umculo Tatu Victor Ndlazulwana is that actually this music is from my grandmother's heart. Lendo ndikangelayo is something that I have because it comes natural. I think that's who I am now. Akone wrong. I mean, abantu besithi jazz, I would be like, look, I'm not a jazz, I love jazz. I love jazz as a sound. You know, I love jazz as a sound, but I'm not really a jazz vocalist, you know, because I wanted to. But I think now I enjoy. I mean, Nobumdu Tendindon is fine, you know. I went back to my grandmother's ronda, ndayothatha yonke laa nto ndiyaziyo phaya, and ndidibanisa with the music that I love so much, the sound that I love, and that is where I am ngoku. Uyabona? So I'm still discovering a lot of things. I'm still learning, and andinazo ncam impendulo.
Thank you. That was really good, actually. That's the answer I was looking for. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, Enkosi kakhulu Dumza. So we're going to come to Upra Mike, Upra Retsipulana. So like I said, I met Upra Retsi, must have been 5 or 6 years ago. If there's one thing that I've learned actually traveling with, I mean, I can sit here and say I've actually traveled with Upra Lex in many times. So, xa uhamba no-Upra Lex, funeka umise ingqondo, awunxibi noba yintoni. Akhanafika jazz-gigini ndibe ndinxiba ushoti ndandikhe ndabona bani enxiba ushoti from the stages. So essentially, I've gone as long as or as far as, you know, looking at the presentation. If somebody's presenting the sound, so they should present it obviously. Funeka ubajonge entloko uqonde no yenza sense. Yeah, no yenza sense nebhrukhwe yakhe. Do you understand? But I mean, we're going to look at, you know, building new era. So building new era, of course, I'm going to rope in Upra Mike. So building new era for me is, again, Praretsi has played, so if you look at Uzugoyigi and you look at Vuyomjindi, you know, and you look at Upraretsi now, and you look at Simani, they've actually exchanged music in the sense of the union of gifts that would be in one stage. But Upraretsi, again, you know, I look at him, I can never go to Upraretsi's show looking like Bendotengi Songa. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So you have to think, okay, I'm going to Upraretsi's because he's presented, whatever comes out of his mouth goes along with what he's wearing. So you need to look at him and think, okay, fine, something fancy is going to come out, something extravagant is coming out of the mouth. So, but I mean, without further delay, I just want us to look at Praretsi. You've worked with the younger generation, and of course they respect you so much because we had to drive all the way to Berlin to get you and to wait for you, and we knew that we were going to wait and carry your bag from your house, you know. I mean, I respect that and I appreciate it. It's something that we all know that we have to do. This is amava, guys. Right? So, Praretsi, I want us to look at how has it been. Of course, if you're the band leader, so I've met you as a backup assist, and then I've met you as a band leader, you know. So let's look at, you know, how have you sort of the buy-in from the young ones and in terms of the community, because you are what you dress. So I do not want to come to your show underdressed. How have you dealt with such things? And obviously, what does it mean for you to appear, you know, looking as presentable to your shows and for us as visuals? Because good
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Retsi Pule, born on the 19th of March, 1940, at my grandparents' place in King Williamstown. But my parents lived in Duncan Village in East London. Yes. Having said that, I grew up from a home which taught us you must dress for the occasion. If it's a funeral, dress spooky in dark tones, in low tones. Don't dress to be an attractive peacock, to stand out, so to speak, yeah. Because the mourners, the chief mourners, for instance, they are grieving, and everybody is there. So we are expected to be dressed in low, you know, subdued. Subdued, yeah. Don't have to be vibrant and all that type of thing. It's uncalled for, yeah. Otherwise, you appear overdressed, you know. So such things, but you must be presentable anyway. Now, coming to the music scenario, yes. I grew up in the public domain as a singer, beginning of the 60s. That time, when you attend a show, a concert, whatever you call it, a concert or yeah, it's given. You must be clean. Not particularly, you don't have to go buy new clothes, but you must be clean, presentable. Yeah. That was the trend, yeah. If you're an artist, you go to a tailor or a dressmaker, you dress for the public, for the people who have come to grace your event, yeah. You must be presentable. You don't just go there as if you have called somebody from the street, come and sing here. You don't do that. Yeah. You don't do that at all. You must be presentable. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Barretti, that's very important. Because, I mean, ekhaya nami xa ndihamba ndihlala ndiphethe ubhaka sibhuke bana kuthe kutheni uphethe ubhaka ongaka ndiheni kwamajonga ziimpahla zotshintsha xa ndifika napha mhlawumbi uba kukho intontoni ebusuku. So one should, I really appreciate that you've actually touched on that. So, I mean, we don't have much time now. So what I did with this artworks and ukunyangwa kwetyala was to actually look at the music that was composed in the Eastern Cape in terms of its standards. So that was Ula Kuchonilanga, right? Composed ke ngu Makei Davasha, of course Makei Davasha ngoku qobo. And he actually joined the Manhattan Brothers and later the Jazz Pistols. So that's a history on its own. And then depending on Ngilo, which is what Selaelo Selota actually opened with Ungena Gwetu Apa when he started his workshop. So for me, it actually made sense, you know. And then Uya Kalingomo actually by Oprah Winston. So the reason I'm touching on this because the next question I'm going to have is towards Wena Spogaz, right? Because I mean, like I said, so if you're looking for a jazz vocalist, it's not something that you find, you know, at the tip of your, you know, of your fingers. But if you're looking for contemporary or mainstream, contemporary musicians particularly, they're quite. So you have these standards in Tetangazo, which are delivered in so many ways. But I mean, I just want to find out from you because I can get the sense that if somebody said, I wanted Unkilo in a jazz standard, you'd actually be on speed dial. And then if somebody else said somewhere that I want to have Uya Kalingoma in a jazz form, you're again going to be on speed dial, you know. I just want to find out how, I mean, this is not a PE issue. Sorry, this is not an East London issue. I just feel like it's an Eastern Cape issue now because everyone is migrating. How do you guys deal with that as a community? I mean, I'm talking about female vocalists now. Let's maybe leave like the beautiful tenor or Prarezi is. I'm just like, in your world, how does it work? How do you guys solve this? Because at a jazz show, then I do not want to have a contemporary musician that's going to sing Karangoma Gamapian. I'm just making an example, sorry.
Malweni, if I'm hearing you correctly, the Gib, my take on that would be, Usisi Apa mentioned something of how do you formate your voice within the music. Ne? As we know, jazz musicians can be purist at times. Ne? And I think with the new school type of music that is formulating, you find a lot of contemporary music merging or being referenced esithi ngumculo we-jazz or womnqonqo. Prolex mentioned that there's nothing wrong with that, ne? But also in terms of referencing as well, or the lexicon or the language of lomculo as it was written by the composers. There's a certain nuance or language that is formulated when performing it. So, xa kusiza umuntu from ngaphandle of the Eastern Cape and saying, I would like to find a vocalist yalapha Eastern Cape to perform a certain standard. Not necessarily is it offensive. It's a good thing, I would say, because I think in that way we have honed our language, ne? More especially as Eastern Cape artists. It would be an honor, umzekelo, if mhlambi kufika umuntu from overseas and okay, when I think of Umtiza the first person I can pinpoint is Ukwalo, you know, meaning Ukwalo has been able to indent his sort of voice within his music or his language or lineage within lomculo. So there are many covers as in Zwayo with the standards. But I think personally for me, Selaelo mentioned something of his simplicity. You know, there's something so beautiful in simplicity, in performance, and also in referencing umculo, more especially if it's not your own composition. So I think for me, when I'm a vocalist and kutwa I should be able, or kutwa mandi performing a certain standard, I think formulating my own voice in order to perform okanye ndikhuphele lo mculo is quite important for the audience and for myself as well, in being able to formulate my own language.
Thank you so much. So I'm just gonna, one last question, and then we're gonna let Uprapet close off this discussion with whatever presentation that he's gonna show us and probably speak on it. So the last question I have, Uzuko, you good to take a question, then? Okay. I mean, and the reason I'm asking you, actually, I just had to look at umtiti ndiyamoyika nomoyika, but umtiti ngubhuti. So ndifuna uthi kuwe Zuko, as a custodian of obviously, you know, these generations and generations, you most probably have played with I'll use a language that no one wants to use, the older generation, as the younger person, you know. But again, we do know this thing of older musicians being purists. You know, you arrive on time, you're disciplined, you're dressed in a certain way, you play the music to the core. But also, so there's also the language of being able to read the music from the older guys, right? So they can print and then you're able to read the music. But there's also who played by the ear, which I think then it causes some sort of discomfort between the two, because then one comes and says, you should actually know this thing because this is the sound, and you're thinking, but where is your music written, bruh? Because it could be much easier, you know, if I could read the music score to deliver what you want me to deliver. So I just want to, again, I'm using like a term I don't like using, the word challenge, but I just want your feeling, you know, towards that. I mean, it's quite important that we actually get that answer.
Thank you so much. Greetings to everyone in the room and to the lovely panelists. It's a beautiful photo or image rather, I was saying to Mtiti when I was just looking up the stage, and I was just like, it's quite beautiful to have the fathers, you know, and the grandfathers, and the daughter, you know, on one stage. Thank you so much. I will just talk about a recent experience with Butandile Yenana. And we're just playing, and of course he just, you know, he will come and music is not written. And he knows that he has sent you some audios, baby. And then he'll just think that the direction of this concert must take, you know, this turn. And he will not understand that you do not understand the Xhosa language, musically speaking. Okay. So I suppose that there's a disjuncture in these bodies sometimes, that when we graduate from school, that we cannot link the teachings that we've been carrying from homes and the teachings that we find at school. Then when you try to portray something that is Xhosa, hardcore Xhosa, but, you know, demanding the same, you know, tools that, you know, you've gathered from school, it's almost like you don't understand. It's like two worlds. So what that means is that the generation that came before us, or our fathers rather, they have so much to give to us. At the same time, the younger generation is moving to a particular direction, and which does not necessarily mean that the worlds are separated. And it is just one word, it is just one world. Thank you so much. So if you think about it, because I'm just looking at the artwork as well, because it connects generations, so you start realizing that there's no separation. All these things are interrelated, interconnected. But also there's something to be said about this whole purist idea, because someone once said that whatever you're trying to preserve, you will lose it. But also it is beautiful to have fathers that are gracious enough to say, instead of concentrating in what we did, try to find your own voice. Perhaps the tools that we've given you will allow you to map read your own, you know, trajectories. And Brazil would say to his students, at some point, when you have to betray me, betray me. And that means that you need to go against the teachings, you know, he's given to them, so that you can express your own voice. Miles Davis say the same thing, that the younger generation is not progressing any further because they are stuck on wanting to emulate what they play. And to some extent, they don't understand what they played and the circumstances in which this music was created. So you find that, you know, sometimes you want to lean more, and so that you can, you know, be adherent to the teachings and the whole, you know, lexicon of jazz, but at the same time, you can be, you know, hitting, you know, at that end because you're not true to who you are and the sounds that are within you that, you know, you need to express. But also, just in closing, I would like to just reflect on a few things, that there is beautiful scholarship in South Africa that is emerging, and this scholarship really reflects on our ways of being and our ways, you know, zokubhala umculo, you know, what does it mean to compose from Intlombe? What does it mean to compose from ingoma zomemulo and whatnot, but also the scholarship, and also you look into that as a space to build theories that will guide the whole understanding, you know, of the spaces we find ourselves in, and how also to navigate, you know, our ways, you know, going forward. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Iggy. So, I mean, I'd have like questions for everyone. So I'm not going to actually waste any more time. But Mtiti Sani, thank you so much for coming through. So, I mean, you're one of the guys that I knew somewhat important in the history again, because I think you're one of the last custodians of Zimngawana's farm days. Not, but you're not somewhere there. Not okay. Can do more wrong, okay, Mtiti Sani. But thank you for coming. And Anthony, I've worked with you like everywhere that I've been, so you've also been a part of my story. And of course, Kay, you're part of my story. Spoki, you're part of my story. And of course, the beautiful panel. And everyone that actually came here. And thank you so much for, you know, just coming and listening to whatever I had to say. And thank you guys for coming. So before we close it off, Shem, we'll give 5 minutes to Ubrapet and let him, like I said, Ubrapet, we need to listen to him. We just need to give him I think he's been doing it for quite some time, that sometimes we just need to let him speak. So in the challenge, again, we're to the last bit of our minutes and for him to present whatever it is that he's going to present us with. It's going to be worthwhile.
I'm going to be very, very, very quick. Firstly, let me just say, welcome to the music fraternity. You know, all of us need to be thanking our Creator because He's given us vocal cords. He's given us ears to hear. If you are deaf, you won't be able to hear what's happening. I am going to just deal with issues that I think need us to be challenged, especially with the younger generation we are working with. Firstly, when I introduced myself, I told you where I come from, and actually later on from UTNEC, I joined other various bands in Port Elizabeth. And I'll just take time to show you some pictures. This is one of the big bands that we had in Port Elizabeth. And Port Elizabeth, in that musical vibrancy that is taking place in the 60s, had about 8 big bands, believe it or not, playing American music, and of course later on was the bands themselves linking up with whatever had come up, like music like Umbaqanga, which the bands developed, but later on, because of transportation and other financial problems, the bands were reduced to combos. And this also was vocal groups. I think we had more than 16, if I'm not mistaken, in Port Elizabeth. This was just around the vibrancy that was happening. Now, the biggest problem then we are confronted with was that with all the material we had in UTNEC and Port Elizabeth, recording studios like Gayalo never came to Port Elizabeth. We're wondering why. Because, for instance, if you look at Makanda, Grahamstown, there's Jurim Beto, who has produced such wonderful music. In fact, somebody did say that we are wondering where this material is stored. Because I think we need to go to Gayalo, because you had guys like Ace Buya, who had beautiful compositions. Some of them we used to enjoy. I remember one I used to enjoy. Sisi Tambolam, Sisu Mongo Wam, Disbagale, Distinale, Disaguli Kukusa. Now, just a little bit of background, and later on, a challenge that we need to have. Little background. Some of you are not aware that development in this country was only within 3 centers. Former Transvaal, former Natal, former Western Cape. Eastern Cape was ignored. And you know what that resulted into was our artists in the Eastern Cape, like she had mentioned, Queenstown. Queenstown was our musical mecca. And I really commend even the organizers of these workshops and the photographers and all that, because photographs cannot lie. They show you what you are. We are commending the people who are running these workshops because, like Osimane Up and all those guys, because to us, it is the wakening up of the giant. Yeah, in the Eastern Cape. It has been asleep for a long time, but we know why. We know why. It's all about politics, all about white supremacy. And I want to tell you what we are doing in Port Elizabeth. So now we need to look at, as we are also going to be getting new governments, we need to be looking at how are we going to develop this creative industry. Because it is very, very low. Because we are saying that the world is at our doorstep. Why must we now import music from America when we can export music? Because the dollar and the rand exchange is actually bleeding us dry. Now, what we are now saying, because I want to show you the other problems that we are confronted with. Anyway, just in passing, this is one of the photographs of the young man we trained in Port Elizabeth. This is Fairfaku. You can see he was fairly young then. Today, he is our ambassador in Switzerland. In Utrecht, when I said we started our first band, big band, and eventually it reduced to a smaller group. This was one of the bands I was leading. You can see my picture, but it's far away from you. On the piano, can you see that little boy is there? Yes, yes. Can you see that little boy there? That is Dudu Pukwana. I heard that Dudu Pukwana had left Woma location to go and enroll in Utrecht at the Limakaya High School. So I went to visit Dudu and invited him to come and play in our band. Dudu at the age of 15 years. The very Dudu, later on, some of you may know that they became the Blue Note. Now, the Blue Notes, as we can recall, in 1964, won the festival, 5th Antibes Festival in France. So they went overseas to the festival and stayed for 18 months out there. The German gentleman who came to South Africa and tried to research the lives of them, as well as Nick Boyake, who also died some years back, was referred to me because of the stories that we heard about this young man. The biggest problem now is, can you imagine now, if we had not met Ududu, he would not have been able to join the Blue Notes, and the Blue Notes who actually impressed Europe with their unique South African sound. Now the challenge, therefore, now we need to be looking into, especially as I had said, we are going to get new government or coalition or whatever you call it. We need to be looking seriously at the funders we have. I personally am not happy with the National Arts Council, ECPAC, and all those funders. Because we have concepts that we impress these people with, and they would not be able to finance those concepts Just one example I'm saying, if I had not met Ududu at the age of 50, where would he have been later on? We need to be looking at these issues seriously. Thank you.
And just to reiterate that, if I didn't meet you, I wouldn't be where I am now.
And also, Kikwa, if I did not meet you, I wouldn't be this photographer today.
So I think that concludes it. Of course, I did mention that archiving jazz, I was like always following Ulex, no picking, no Shiburi. The cold winters, no clothes, no don. So for that reason, always, peace, my chance. Yes, Prophet. So yes, so we're going to. Selaelo is there at the back, Prophet.
I've got my saxophone here. I need to warm it up for tonight.
Yeah, man, it's the one. Oh, thank you so much, Prareti. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much, Kiko, and Ngosi kakhulu, Prophet. Oh, Jigs, yes, Uprap maikuti manditi chiki, spoki, Ngosi kakhulu, sis.
Let's give these giants a round of applause. Next up, we're going to call O Papama from Umtiza to give us a vote of thanks.
Okay, thanks, Sis Pogi. Thank you, Gib, the Gib. And Masbulele, we legends, Amanyan, and Upper legends. So I won't be long. My job is to always thank the people who pay for the lights so that they can keep paying for them next year. So I have to thank Department of Sports, Arts and Culture National, without whom we wouldn't be here, I can guarantee you that. I must thank the Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, without whom we wouldn't be here. I guarantee that too. I must also thank the Guild Theatre, the N. Bryant, and the museum, and all the family members of the Umtiza Arts Festival who make this possible. I must thank Giba for taking up the invitation. I must thank Zuko for sending Giba the invitation to be here. I was lucky 10 years ago. I was listening to people saying I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for who and who. I was lucky 10 years ago to be a student at Nelson Mandela University. It was called NMMU then. They dropped the M now. My parents sent me there to study architecture, but a mistake, I would always end up in the music department. And there was a special guy that me and Prapet have in common, a gentleman by the name of Errol Kadambi, who was my teacher, who was my friend, who was my father away from home. And, I always remember this project that the International Library of African Music ran at New Brighton, where they were archiving New Brighton jazz history. And I'm sure you've seen it evolve over the years, Oput Elijah coming out here and doing concerts. They did one earlier this year. So Upra Pet, the late Big Teen Selaelo was alive at the time. I think Tatuwela Matomela was part of that project as well. Kenke was on drums, I think. Ne? So we were out at New Brighton, it's about 2010. And Titi Luzipo was still a grade 11 at the time. So it's been the efforts of all these people who've gone into the township, who've created spaces and conversations of this nature that have created accidental meetings that have forged life bonds, And some of us are beneficiaries of those life bonds, and we are eternally grateful. I want to thank Usbu from the Buffalo City Municipality. If she didn't pay for some of the artists who are here today, we wouldn't be here. So I think let's give them a round of applause as well. So such a workshop belongs to someone like Sbu. She's the one who manages artists and all these kids from the municipality. So we're grateful. Na next year, I guess, Sbu. So I think we are going to get to the part where there's a birthday. Rev, I'm always bugging Rev. Oh, because Rev coming to East London. Yes, I'm coming. I want to work with this trumpeter. So today you'll see Rev working with the trumpeter. He's always wanted to work with the trumpeter. I'm sure you'll see if you come to the guild later, you'll get to know who the trumpeter is. But Rev is always like, I want to work with that trumpeter. I want to do something with the trumpeter. So I'm so grateful that I'm able to witness a day like today. It's magical, and it's great that we're doing it at Legends as we celebrate the 11th birthday. So I think Ukere is going to invite all the legends onto the stage. If you're not a legend, you'll watch with us. If you're a legend, light, we can also watch. And I know that Oprah Pet, no Selaelo. I didn't kick Selaelo off the stage. I wanted us to get through the other part of the program. So if they want to kwela the conga and do their thing as a happy birthday tune, I don't mind. There's time. So I'm going to ask Gary to come forward so that we can. But I want to recite these words for you as I think they are important. And this is what Errol Kadambi wrote. It's a poem that is called Pillars of Eternity. It's one of the last things that he gave me in about 2010 before he passed away, and a collection of his poems that probably still need to be published. I also want to pay tribute to Umtiza. Umtiza drove down here with Rev Pasha. I'm always bugging Umtiza. Umtiza always shows up at these workshops and doesn't get paid for it. Thanks, Kwalo, for giving back. So Errol wrote these words, and I think they're so symbolic for where we find ourselves today. He said, I realize that my actions will not necessarily change the course of history, and that my greatest deeds will fade in the shadow of future millennia. Therefore, my true reward is life and in humility. I will strive to make my own existence a cornerstone of stability, with the hope that every man, woman, and child will attempt to do the same, and in so doing become pillars of eternity that will lift this humanity to its rightful heights. So I think let's celebrate legends on this. There's also an attendance register. We just need proof that you are going to get a slice of cake. So please sign for your cake. We had elections, so at least now we voted. In return, we're getting service delivery already, even before they finish counting the votes. Gary, please come forward and deliver the services of cake to us.
All right.
Let me thank the facilitator. Please give it up for her one more time.
I've often said Legends doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the East London community. It would be a great honor to have, they called him the young elder, but he's the elder of elders, to be the one who cuts the cake officially. But we also should have a representation of what Legends has meant over the years. So all the elders will be here, but Brapet will cut it for us. But also to have a representation of the city. Sbu is here, representation of the city to be here. We have Uzugo, representation of a movement to bring jazz to audiences. You should come here. Upsisfuyo, documenting things that are happening. We have Usisipo, who's inculcating, educating people about things that are happening here. And my daughter, I think she was conceived a month after Legends. I'm just calculating. Opened up in June, she was born in April. And the funny story is when I resigned from Miriam Makeba, a place that I love so much, I resigned to come and open up Legends. It was I just had got married. So I got married in April. I resigned end of the following month. She was conceived. A month later, we opened here. So it wasn't an easy journey. But you know, the way God works with legal Simeon coming on board to ensure that the facility was structured right and handing it over to me last year so that it can come a space that we've always dreamed of it coming through. And having the companies that come here, the likes of Obongo and the other incubators that are here, Legends is becoming something that is owned by the city of Buffalo City. So in commemorating 11 years, hard to believe. We also have Moby Dixon was supposed to be here. Next week on Friday he's here. It's actually 10 years of City Raids when he first launched that thing. And there's so much history. We've had Obabu Yui recording here. We've had so many legends, Oliver Mtukudzi coming to work here. We've had priceless memories, but today tops it all. Would have known that the universe will collide and have such legends in the space at this time, you know, and I'm really honored. So it's gonna be filled here. We've got people that are taking pictures. They'll tell us how they want to do it, but Brapet, please, if you can lead the delegation to just cut the Legends cake, then we can jam after that. It's okay. Thank you so much. Come, Papama, please. Babu Selaelo, please come. Come. I will. You're gonna be the one. Wait. They're waiting for everyone to watch you cut it. Tumza, Zugo, come. Babulex. Also something for history. The first jazz album that was recorded here, Babulex was part of it. Sirikota. Babulex is not listening. Oh. Yes. Anton was one of the first teachers here as well at Legends. Ubabulex, the first jazz album that was ever recorded at Legends. He was part and parcel of it. Yeah. Come, Nala. Come, Spu, for the city, please. Come, Judy. I know you came. Judy. You can help. You're gonna cut a cake with them. Hold his hand. He's gonna cut together. All right. Do we sing? And do we improvise, or is it a standard that we want to do? Because there's been a lot of words that's been going. With due honor, you may cut the cakes. Birthday to you, happy birthday to us, happy
To us.
Happy birthday to us. Okay, and then they're asking us to look over there, everyone. Let's look there. Here's a historic picture. Thank you so much. There's sauces for everyone. We're going to cut the cake and just share it. Yeah.